Mark, nice seeing you again.
Yeah, likewise, Nick. I'm super excited for this. For anybody listening already, we just decided to throw out everything and make this as fun as possible. So I'm excited, Nick, to just see what comes out of this conversation and have some fun, man.
Fire away.
All right. So
Oh,
I got a whole list of questions. You said, let's throw everything out. And I said, heck yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to start
um,
throwing you some warm up questions, dude. We're going to make this harder and harder as we go.
there's a lot of rumors out there, so
All right. Cool. So, first one is there is a rumor floating around that you shouldn't even be here right now, man. You're retired. You should be on a beach somewhere.
yeah. I mean, I have had 14 other companies, and I've sold them off or closed almost all of them now. In fact, it's been heartbreaking watching my heavy equipment go out the door. Um, One of the big pieces, my excavator, is something that my little son likes it a lot, so I kept it for him, so he could keep running it around. But
Cool.
almost everything else is gone. I'm retired.
Okay. So, what are you doing these days then, other than jumping on webinars like this?
Just well, I still have one small position in InterNACHI, which is I run the legal department, and then I'm mostly working with Maggie at CCPIA in uh, the commercial association is where I spend most of my time now.
I've heard that's a pretty big focus right now. Is that like something giving you renewed energy, or what's kind of going on there?
Yeah, because I mean, I spent my whole lifetime trying to get inspectors to charge thousands instead of hundreds. I mean, see what I could do to help them market and help them charge more and make more money and get wealthy. And near the end of my career, Maggie and I come up with the CCPIA. It takes off, and inspectors are charging thousands again. They're
Mhm.
making. I mean, we have a lot of videos of inspectors charging 10,000, 30,000. One of our inspectors got a $1 million 1 year contract to inspect the school system.
Right on.
A lot of money. So it's nice to see inspectors taking up some fat checks um, with the commercial association.
Awesome. Yeah, we're kind of seeing a little bit of that on our side in the coaching lane too. People are very drawn to the idea of getting bigger checks with less drama, and
Right.
commercial inspections represent a lot of that for
Well,
sure.
it's all B2B, so
Yeah.
it's a lot less drama.
Yeah. Okay.
A
So
lot
you're
easier to do too. I mean, you can do a commercial inspection blindfolded the way we have it set up. The way we built CCPIA is I imagine if I was blindfolded, could I run a commercial building inspection association? And the answer is yes. I mean, you're just basically you sub out a lot of things after you figure out what your client wants you to do and what scope of work is needed.
mhm.
Then you just sub it all out to your A team and B team if the A team isn't available and compile it all and send a fat invoice. I love it.
What would you give any advice to what is most of the industry still, small solo businesses or small shops getting into the commercial side of things, other than, of course, go check out the CCPIA?
Well, I think if I started now in inspection business, I'd only do commercial. I just think it's easier. It's a lot less headache. There's way more profit margin, of course, and you know, larger top line by far. And you can specialize in it. Like in the town I live in, there's only like 30 commercial real estate agents, and they're all in one office.
Mhm.
So, you could just go and take packets to those 30 agents, and you've cornered the commercial inspection market. Um, so the target marketing you can do is a lot easier too, investment clubs and building owners, and it's just uh it's just a lot less competition, a lot more money, and a lot easier in my opinion. So
Nick, what's the competition like for donut shops?
I have a donut shop. I shouldn't have it. I'm the one guy probably in the world who shouldn't have a donut. I actually don't have the shop, I have the building. So I
Okay.
think that a donut shop is, and I own a lot of commercial buildings myself. And yeah, I have a donut shop. I have to avoid it at all costs.
Are you like the CEO of the donut shop, or what is that? How?
No, so I only own the buildings, but
Yeah.
one of my tenants is a donut shop.
All
One's
right.
an one's an Asian massage parlor. So I mean, I got
Yeah,
some tenants.
you definitely have your hands in a lot of things, man. Even though you're supposed to be retired at this point.
Well, the real estate, I've always done that. Anytime
Yeah.
I could buy a property at a great price and rehab it and fix it up and rent it. So it's not, not costing me out of pocket or maybe even cash flowing a little bit. I hung on to it.
Mhm.
It was always tempting to sell at different times, but I hung on to everything. So I ended up with 55 properties basically, um, at this point in my career. And you can't beat the real estate business. I mean, Donald Trump explained it the best in his debate, that he gets to say that the property's going down in value and in fact it's going up.
Mm.
So he didn't make the rules, but he's just playing by them. So am I. So
Good, man. Good, good. Okay, let me throw a different style of question at you. Let's see where we go with this. So, if somebody was just had the opportunity to ask you a question, whether it's inside or outside the industry, what should they ask you? With all of the wisdom you've got at this point in the industry, with all of the connections you have, with all of the things you've seen, technology where it is in the industry right now, what should somebody ask somebody like yourself?
yeah, I mean, well, that's a really individual question. Like, what, how far do you want to go? I run a tree farm and I live on it. So if I'm going to my mailbox, I get on a little golf cart and drive out to get my mail. If I'm going to the other side of the tree farm, I take the pickup truck. And if I have to go to Florida, I take a plane. So what my point is that you have to determine where you want to go first.
Hmm.
Then you can figure out what mechanism will get you there. I mean, if your goal is to get rich, that's a much clearer definition of a goal than most people have. You have to be able to say it. I say, I want to get rich in this business. If you can actually say those words out of your mouth, um, that's probably half the battle right there. I mean, most people don't know why they're in a business. A lot of times they like the business or they really enjoy it. They find passion in it, or something like that. And I can't relate to any of that. So I need some hard answer to serious questions. And most people can't even figure out what goal they're aiming at, let alone try to hit it. Think,
I think it's really good, man. That's all the work we do too, whether it's get rich or be fulfilled or whatever their goal is, it's have a
yeah.
target and aim at it.
I mean, I suspect, I don't know. I don't know your business that well, but I suspect that there's probably two types of people who show up at your event. And those are the ones that are trying to actually hit their goal. And then there's a social aspect to it. Those who
Mhm.
just enjoy being around other people who are kind of in the same business and where there's food. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the second group of people, but they're probably two very different types of people in groups like that. And both are okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? Absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with going on a business cruise, right? But some are there for business and some are there for cruise.
Mhm.
You have to know who you are. To thy own self be true. If you can't figure out who you are, it's really hard to hit a target, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we certainly agree on that. We really do. Here,
yeah.
can somebody get rich in this industry if they decide to?
Yeah. I wrote an article on 4 ways you can get rich as an inspector. I won't go through it all, but um I figure there's 4 ways to do it. And that article's somewhere on InterNACHI's website. But one of them is the multi-inspector firm way, right? That's a tried and true method, grow just like any other conventional business would, increasing market share and increasing size until you get big. I mean, InterNACHI grew that way, right? We didn't grow um, we didn't grow with relationship marketing. I didn't run bowls of chocolates out to offices, home inspectors' offices with my personality, of the personality of a cinder block, and try to convince them to join InterNACHI. I mean, it would be relationship marketing works. That's one of the problems with it, but it will cap you. I mean, what are you drinking right now?
Water.
Water. Okay. Is
Mhm.
it tap water or is it from a bottle?
It is just some good old fashioned carbonated water.
Okay. You don't know the CEO of that company, do you?
Nope.
And he bought his product. We
That's
all like
right.
we all drink Coca-Cola. We all know what it is. I don't know. I doubt if anybody even knows who's the president of Coca-Cola is, what their personality is like, but they keep on doing conventional marketing, don't they? Even though we all know what the product is. So there's something to be said for conventional marketing, and relationship marketing will take you, take you so far, but then you got to switch over. And that's kind of where I probably part with a lot of people in our industry who discuss marketing.
Mhm.
They heavily focus on relationships. And I guess because of my personality, I didn't have that ability to do that. Um, this is the most pleasant you ever find me. so, so, my personality is not going to make me a dollar in life. I had to do other things. Um,
So this is one of the great debates in our mastermind group is relationship marketing versus conventional marketing. And I have a perspective on that myself, but I'm curious what your thoughts are at different business stages, like the guy just starting out
right.
versus the
Well,
guy who's
it
doing
works, right?
10,000 inspections.
Look, you got to put food on the table. It works. There's no doubt about it. Doing inspections for people you meet at church is probably fine, and having a good personality, is is very helpful in this business, right? But you're chasing what I call it, you're chasing butterflies. And so what I mean by that is you're going after that particular agent or something to refer you work, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it works. That's probably one of the problems with it and why I don't like it so much because the darn thing works. But eventually, you don't want to chase butterflies. You want to build a garden that attracts butterflies. And that's the way I look at it, being a farmer myself, you know what I mean? Um, and so maybe you could do them both at the same time.
Mhm.
It's butterflies with one hand to keep food on the table, but eventually you want to build something that, well, so I'll use InterNACHI as an example where we don't have to, we don't chase inspectors. I mean, InterNACHI attracts a lot of inspectors. Our website attracts a lot of traffic, 40 million unique visitors. Now that's not coming from the home inspection industry with 30,000 inspectors, right? It's
Right.
coming from somewhere else. So, we built a garden that's just very attractive to the butterflies and you don't have to chase them anymore. And that's where you really get the second, stage of the rocket to take off. Um, and you can do that with any business in any industry, but you have to give some energy and some thought to it. You can't just all be just chasing relationship marketing forever because there's only so much of you to go around.
Hmm. What does the InterNACHI actually look like these days as far as number of people in the industry? There's all kinds of
Like,
numbers and stuff out there.
yeah, we're 25,000 members. We'd hit 30,000 when we were really busy at one point. And it bounces around a little bit.
Mhm.
That's in the US and Canada. And that's the only places we make money, US and Canada. Now we have operations in 60 countries, but those other 58 countries don't make us a dime. And we have this thing basically called the InterNACHI conglomerate, which is it's at nachi.org/conglomerate. It's
Mhm.
just a big family of for-profit, nonprofit, and charitable organizations, all in the inspection industry. A lot of names vendors those are our companies. And
Mhm.
that conglomerate is pretty large within the United States and Canada. We did 53 million in 2023. So I don't know what 112 employees. I don't know what the gross is for 2024. But in 2023, we did $53 million, that conglomerate. And it's, everything from insurance to inspector outlet tools, education, our schools, our house of horrors, um, our commercial division, certified master inspector, the whole works, cozy coats for kids, our charity, and everything around it. So,
Hmm.
it's a good size to manage. Um, and we have a few that we kind of control covertly, but we don't we don't really consider them completely with us as a partner yet, but we kind of control those vendors. The one thing we're not into, even covertly, is software. And I've
Mhm.
always stayed out of it. I just think that there's so many good programmers out there and developers coming up with great things in software that if I got into it, I'm afraid that people would gravitate to it, and then it would stifle innovation. So I've stayed out of software, and I prefer that the software companies compete. And no matter who loses, the inspectors are going to win with that strategy, I think.
Let's dance around that for a second. So, what is your well, actually, I'll preface it by saying I think our industry is entering into a new phase, probably has been for a few years, where we're seeing consolidation, we're seeing companies merge, we're seeing acquisitions, we're seeing private money come in. We're also seeing some interesting things that tell us a new stage is upon us, like technology becoming more and more specialized for our industry rather than just stuff pieced together. What's your take on that technology in the industry at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be things always getting better and better. I mean, Elon Musk makes the point that that's not necessarily true, that you could go backwards. Um, but in my lifetime, certainly, you know, certainly from a technology standpoint, things have always gotten better. I'm pre-internet, I'm pre-cell phone, I'm pre-digital camera, so I've seen a lot. My grandmother, who, was born before the Wright brothers flew a plane, got to see Neil Armstrong land on the moon. So you can imagine um, what the inspection industry, if it keeps this up, what it'll be like.
Yeah.
Um, I did the first digital inspection reports when Canon came out with a digital camera. I think we did the first InterNACHI did the first drone courses before that was all a regular thing to do. So we see a lot of great innovation, and I think it's going to keep going. As for this consolidation, we'll see. You know, it's not that easy. It's
Mhm.
not the burger business, and even burger businesses don't last, right? It's not
Yeah.
it's not that it's not a commodity, the inspection business, and non-commodity businesses and service businesses especially are a little bit more difficult to um to grow into big national operations. I mean, franchises do that, but when you look at a franchise, it's really still just the individual inspector in his local market that's doing really the grunt work, not the franchise. So we'll see how this consolidation works out.
So you said the word commodity, and I'm actually interested. I'm always more interested in the bigger picture than I am like individual businesses. And so, do you see a world or a future where the inspection is a commodity and fits into some other piece of the home service puzzle?
Not unless we really in this country adopt pre-listing inspections. So if we adopt if pre-listing inspections eventually become a norm,
Mhm.
then it's a little bit more commoditized because there'll be more regulation on what you have to inspect and how you have to report it and all that. There'll be more insurance requirements, and it'll be almost like title work is done today, right? You don't really shop for a title company, do you? You don't check their references and all that. No. So
No.
that's because it's so ingrained as part of the process. Um, Whereas home inspections still are not yet. When you call three different home inspection companies, you get three very different responses if they pick up the
Mhm.
phone at all, right?
True story. Yep.
And you get different prices, right? And you get different pitches and you get different services offered to you, right? So, um, some offer 4 or 5 different inspections and some only
Mm.
offer one. So we're not there yet. And it may never be there. And probably it's to our advantage that it never becomes there. That we just keep innovating and growing and coming up with stuff. I mean, look at all the stuff that happened in just the past few years, right? I mean, who'd have thought that so many inspectors are making a living off of commercial inspections? Who'd have
Mhm.
thought sewer scopes would take off or using, the first time I posted about inspecting with a drone on InterNACHI's message board, you can go back and look at the thread. I mean, most inspectors who were reading that thought I was joking, thought it was like some kind of April Fool's joke or like I'm just kidding around. They didn't actually believe I had a drone and I was
Just a fad.
yeah, like you're joking, right? You're kidding. Yeah. So, it's really the first time I showed a real estate agent a report and she thought the pictures were like um just standard pictures to describe something. And then I saw her in her eyes, she realized that's the actual house. You're taking pictures of the actual house and putting it into the report. I mean, stuff like that was a leap for our industry. And I think leaps that are not predicted right now will occur in the future.
Yeah, that's a whole different direction to go. Innovation, technology, leaps. Is InterNACHI doing anything with AI or
No, we,
education around that or anything? What are you
you know,
guys thinking
we,
about that?
I'm always of the philosophy that first punch doesn't win.
Okay.
I'm okay for somebody else to fight that battle, go in there, lose their shirt. Maybe a few other people go in and try to take down that dragon, right? And then I'll sit back like a Zulu warrior who sent in 1,000 1,000 warriors first to see what happens to them before I launch the big attack. And so I think it's best for me to just wait at this point with
Mm.
AI. It's just too ripe for me to start placing bets on it, on what to do. And I want to be sure on a lot of things, right? I've been wrong most of my life in this career. Most of the stuff I built for the inspection industry has come to a complete failure, didn't work.
Mm.
What you see left at InterNACHI and CMI and um, that's stuff that actually works, stuff that actually makes inspectors money and helps them. So since my track record is so abysmal, I don't want to be out there attacking first. I want to see what happens for a little bit. We're taking our time. We use it a little bit,
Mhm.
We have other projects that we're deep into, so that are coming up in the future that are going to change everything, I think, in other ways. And the degree program is probably the biggest one that's coming down. Like, InterNACHI got U.S. Department of Education accreditation, the same as Harvard and Yale.
Yeah,
So
that's huge.
yeah, when you take an InterNACHI course online, you're actually taking an accredited college course, and that accredited college course retroactively goes towards whenever you want your degree when you get it. And as we slowly work towards that, getting all our courses approved and accredited, and we become degreed professionals, I'm just trying to push the industry up to where, architects and engineers kind of are. Uh,
Hmm.
it sounds absurd, right? You know, but if we can push them up sort of in that ballpark, we're not going to be engineers, right? The degree we're going to issue is not going to be an engineering degree. It's going to be an inspection degree.
Hmm.
And but our courses are pretty robust, and engineers don't know what to do when something's old, and I mean they're good at calculating how to fix something, but inspecting something that's just worn out or blown off or broken or past its life expectancy or damaged or something, it's really our strength. That's what we do best, and the world needs us. They're not going to replace us with a robot. No robot with AI is going to go into your house and do an inspection. There's not that. That's not going to happen in our lifetime. They can't offshore us to India, right, to do an inspection. They can't download an inspector. So some man or woman has to get a flashlight and go in that crawl space in that attic. And so there's no way around that. And come out and articulate what they saw in a report. That's going to be done by human beings for a while, with assistance from other technologies, certainly. But
Hmm.
we're not getting replaced anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I do think that companies will get faster on the backside of their business with speeding through things like reports and anything that technology can help with. I want to ask you I want to do a little pattern interrupt here because we're talking about houses and it triggered a thought. Every time I hear about you, I hear about your house. Tell me about your house, Nick.
No, you have to come see it. It's not. I couldn't do it justice. It's a big house. I was in the construction business all my life since I was 12. So for 50 years, I was in the construction business. So when you build your own house, you just keep going.
Hmm.
Now I want a vault for my guns. So good. I want a sauna. So you keep going. It gets bigger and bigger. The plan started big to begin with. It's a large house. We use every inch of it. Me and my wife. My wife are
Yeah.
both have a lot of businesses together, and so we have offices in there. And people think it's a big house. It's a big house. It's 29,000 square foot.
Oh, okay.
I use
I've seen bigger.
use every inch of it. The basement, it goes down a double. We use a lot of it. Um, because my wife's a businesswoman as well. She has
Mhm.
4 degrees and an MBA, so she helps me a lot with the businesses, and she's a she does her own things as well. So it's not just a house. Business is sort of what is sort of our recreation as well.
Mm.
Like given a choice between watch something on TV or me and my wife working on a business or something, or batting that around in a discussion, that's what we'd prefer to do. Um,
I heard that you have a house in your basement that gets good use for a good cause.
oh yeah, I built an entire, it's not just an apartment, it's almost like a house, yeah, underground. It's got well windows though, real nice, and I did it in 6 weeks. And the reason
Hmm.
is it's because when that Ukrainian war started over in Ukraine, we were able to get permission from the U.S. government to take in refugees. So I've taken in my fourth family, families I don't know. I don't know their kids, don't know them. They barely speak English. They come here and they stay with me for 4 to 6 months, and I get them off the ground. I get them jobs. I get them driver's licenses. All the paperwork they need. Get their kids in school and an apartment or a townhouse, and get them on their way. And taking another one. So we've done it 4 times now. You have to get sort of it's kind of like adopting a kid with the government paperwork, but it's been a blast taking them in and helping immigrants. Um,
Hmm.
so not all MAGAs are anti-immigrant. I'm a MAGA, but I also helped a lot of. I mean, I helped them. I brought them right into my home, so and fed
Yeah.
them. Um, so
That's pretty amazing, man. What is the process like going from your house to out into society and standing, I guess standing on their own 2 feet? I don't know how else to describe that, I suppose.
luckily, most women in in um, in Ukraine speak multiple languages. My wife speaks 6 languages. It's not uncommon for people
Hmm.
in Ukraine to speak multiple languages. So they just have to brush up on their English, and get that. And they do that by living with us too. That helps. And
Sure.
going to school. And if anybody's coming here to the United States, above and beyond everything else that you could get, that you could do, other than licenses and getting your CDL or getting your paperwork done, the main thing is to learn English. Without a command of English, it's very difficult to succeed in this country, in my opinion. If you have
Yeah.
kids, if you're an immigrant and your kids are here, I would order them to speak English
Hmm.
to each other and to their friends and everything else.
Hmm. Interesting. I bet we could talk for a whole hour just about that. But I mean, kudos to you guys for helping those people out.
It
I
was a
can't
blast.
imagine it's
Fun.
I can't imagine it's easy to decide who gets to come, and I imagine there are a lot of people need that help.
Well, they did it. Yeah, one time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really bad. So, a lot of people lost their homes, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of. I have 3 little kids at home, so it's fun for them too. So,
Hmm. Awesome.
my wife's 25 years my junior, so even though I look like a grandpa, I'm still a dad.
Okay, cool. Tell me a little more about that. I don't know much about your family. How old are your kids, I guess, and what are they into?
I have a young hot wife, 3 little kids, toddler. No, well, 2, 4, and 7.
Okay.
Young,
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah, you've got to be young then to keep up with that.
yeah. They keep me young.
Cool.
Um,
All right, Nick. Hey, let's go back to the inspection industry. Like, big, broad question. You've been around for a long time. You kind of see the trends. Where's this thing headed, man? What's the future of this industry look like?
well, I would say we end up pushing the inspection industry up into the ballpark of architects and engineers. We won't be on par with them maybe in my lifetime, but we're going to get in that ballpark. And
Hmm.
that's going to be really good for us. There's also this wave, as you know, that's occurring right now that people graduating high school, and I'm a high school dropout, so I don't know much about it, but people graduating high school are realizing that they don't want to take on a bunch of debt to get a 4-year college degree that's worthless. This doesn't make them any money. And so
Mhm.
the trades are making a comeback. And there's, we need tradespeople and we need inspectors and plumbers and electricians, and those jobs pay well. And so I think what's going to happen is that we're going to ultimately end up with the respect that we've always deserved. Your sons and daughters will be home inspectors and you'll be proud of them. And they'll be business people by then, not just people in business. There's a difference, right? And they'll be making good money. And thanks to InterNACHI, I have to say, the education being the same as Harvard and Yale in terms of accreditation and government approvals will also help push us into that category, as I describe as being in the ballpark of engineers and architects. And it's also, you have to remember that we inspect the tradesmen's work. So it's sort of the pecking order is on our side as well, right? A contractor whose shoulders wear out after a while wants to become an inspector. And an
Mm,
inspector is
true.
viewed by the public as the person above the tradesman who's checking the work, right? So that's an advantage to us too, just in terms of just the image of what an inspector is. He's more of a professional, not the guy who is doing physically hard labor,
Hmm.
maybe even a person who wears a collared shirt or a tie, or he's more on the professional side. And I just want to keep pushing on all sides because there's a lot of ways to push a cart. I just want to push on all wheels on all sides of this cart to push us into that zone more. Um, and and I and that's probably, I would say, my goal at this point, try to get us there. And
Hmm.
I think we're getting there. And you're helping too. I mean, IEB is helping a lot with that to try to get us to not just be like, oh, I'm going to go, do some inspections and stuff, to actually becoming respected business people who provide a, pro a professional service to our fellow Americans in our towns.
Mm.
That's where I'd like to see everything keep going, and it's going that way. We're winning that battle.
Yeah. Yeah, we're fighting the same fight, man. We need to team up on that and just keep pushing it as far forward as we can.
I almost gave up at one point, maybe about 7 years ago, and then we got a .edu. When InterNACHI got to InterNACHI.edu, which is an impossible domain name to get, it takes government accreditations and approvals and everything to get
Yeah.
that. It's as close to a .gov as you can get. Then I was reinvigorated, and I thought there was hope, and now I see that we are really succeeding at those goals.
Here's a question related to the barriers to enter the industry. So if we push the education up, the standard of education higher, what effect do you think that'll have on the type of people drawn to the industry?
Well, it's all too low right now. And that someone has to do with state budgets. So states are always worried that if they regulate an industry, that it's going to cost them too much money compared to the licensing fees they bring in. And they want to make it so people can get in and get a license.
Hmm.
Trouble is, if we're all waving the same state issued credential around, it becomes meaningless, and it has. So we have to push things up higher and higher. No lawyer runs around saying that he's licensed and has this picture of his license on his website, and he's so proud that he's merely operating legally according to the state. And that's
Yeah.
the mentality that a lot of our home inspectors have. They think the license is the end all, when in fact it's the beginning.
Mm.
So,
That's good, man. Yeah, the same thing is true in my world as a coach. Nobody cares about your coaching credentials. They care about what you can do for them.
right.
Yeah.
It's always funny when you see a state adopt licensing, and the inspectors are so proud they got their license, and it's like the biggest thing on their website. It's on their cards, licensed all over. I mean, most consumers just assume you're licensed,
Hmm.
you're operating legally. It's absolutely meaningless. And after a while, after 2 years or so, everybody has a nose, everybody has 2 years, and everybody has a state issued license. So, I mean, it's absolutely meaningless, isn't it? You have to go something further than that. That's how certified master inspector came about. It was to offset the fact that licensing is meaningless in terms of a credential, and that the
Hmm.
consumer can't grasp it as anything other than that in 3 seconds. Whereas in 3 seconds, they understand what certified master inspector means. It's kind of like IEB. I mean, if when you read the words, you kind of understand what it is a little bit. You know, it it doesn't need a tagline almost. Certified master inspector doesn't need a tagline. It works that well. The darn thing
Yeah.
works. It's one of the few things, like I said, it's in that 5% category of stuff that actually happens. And it
It's
was
good branding for sure, man.
it was to offset, you know, licensing, which is on the other end of the spectrum, as being almost meaningless.
What this is the second time you've brought up the failure rate. So what's an example of something that you really believed in that didn't make it in the home inspection space?
I'm too sad to say. I mean, stuff I put a lot of money into, it just didn't work. I
Mhm.
mean, I really thought that I had the ability to offer free inspections. We would still get paid, but we could offer free inspections. So I had a whole system built around it. And the idea was do you remember, like, maybe about 8 years ago, auctions started to become popular? They sort of was a little wave in the real estate industry where
Yeah.
people saying, "Oh, I'll just put my home up for auction, have everybody bid against it," right?
Yep.
So I went out and I went to an auctioneer and I said, "Let me inspect this. Let me put this inspection online. Let me password protect it with a fee for $30. And you have how many people looking at this?" Well, he's like, well, on this one, we've already had 400 people at it. Well, almost all of them who are interested are buying the report. Either they're buying the report to not buy the house because they don't like what's in it, or they're buying the report because they're about to spend, $500,000 on a house at an auction that they haven't seen yet, right? And, $30, $40 or whatever we were charging, that's way less expensive than actually hiring a home inspector.
Hmm.
They could see the report. And so what I did is I went to the auction and I brought a bunch of copies, hundreds of them, and I just stood up and the auction, I had to cover the auctioneer on the side, give him a cut. But I said, listen, I make my living by doing these inspections. So you can buy these inspection reports, but I'm asking you, please don't just hand them out and pass them around the room. This is how I make a living. And in return, I'm only going to charge you $40 for the inspection. Sold out. So now I said, oh my goodness, here's how we're going to do it. We could actually start doing pre-listing inspections, putting the inspection up on the real estate agent's website, like Zillow or whatever, where you can download it for a fee.
Hmm.
That fee gets split up all over the place. And then I would, knowing the math behind it, I would just look at the algorithm and say, okay, I'm going to cover my inspector. He's going to get his, $400 right off the bat. And as the reports sell, if we get much over 400, if it turns out he's hit a real jackpot, we'll get him in for a taste for extra money, like almost like a royalty. You see what I mean? So everybody would win. So that was the one I spent a lot of money and effort, and the funny thing is, I stayed in it too long because it worked.
Hmm.
There was one group of people that hated it, the inspectors. They want,
Interesting. Okay.
they wanted no part of the project. And so I got so much resistance from my own people that it failed.
So I guess it failed in such a way that there was not room for different inspectors or maybe to try it in a different place.
I think even Texas, the inspectors in Texas actually went to track and actually changed the rules on what a client is, just to wreck the
Ah,
program.
I see. Yep, that would be a roadblock for
They
sure.
were they were just really opposed to it. And I'm not here to do something that I think is in your best interest if you're opposed to it.
Yeah.
Not your mom.
Well,
So
I mean, I see the connection. Because if you're playing that game at scale,
Yeah.
then yeah, you don't need to charge for the inspections for sure.
Just download a report for $45. Well, you can make it $30, 40. We'd have to figure out a price point for everything, right? And maybe
Yep.
it goes
Yep.
up with a more expensive home or whatever. But just look at the consumer side, right? The consumer who's buying homes online, because when you look for a home right now, you don't go out in a car, do you, with a real estate agent? No, you go on Zillow or whatever, right? You
Yep.
look at them online. If you get interested in something, downloading that report is going to be a real help to the real estate agents, because if you've gone through that report and seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you still schedule a showing, you want to go see it yourself. So it also, dissuades people who wouldn't have wanted the house anyway. They see something in a report. Oh, that's not what I wanted at all. That picture explains it to me, right?
Hmm.
And so it saves that real estate agent from having to go there and show a house with someone who wouldn't have bought it if they had seen the report. It saves everybody. The real estate agents, it's make more money doing this because they spend less time. It makes the leads hotter, because if someone goes to an inspection report and still wants to go see the house, that's a hotter lead. The price is dropped for the consumer because they're getting an inspection report at a tenth the cost, and the inspector is making his money up front and collecting a royalty, possibly, if it sits there for 6 months, with consumers just downloading the report for 6 months and never sells. This thing was a win-win-win all around. But again, that I would say I view that as my worst failure, because I think it would have worked, and I
Yeah,
couldn't pull it off. It's like that great football play you draw up. This is a winner. This is a touchdown for sure. But every time you run it, it just doesn't work.
I say keep it in your pocket, man, because as our society gets more and more averse to actually speaking with humans, they'll want to download reports and get things at the push of a button more and more.
Yeah, I noticed the younger people, they would never think to call a real estate agent and go out to a house, maybe out of town, fly in,
Hmm.
look at a house that they're thinking about buying, at least before they had the option to download an entire inspection report on their property with all kind of pictures and information on it for a lousy $40. I mean, it was so good. And I had the listing agents and listing MLSs, and some of them agreeing to already hosting that and taking a cut of those fees and all that. But that's probably my biggest failure. It's okay. You don't win them all.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just like stocks.
Nick, let's give something practical for the people who are going to be listening to this for some time to come as it gets posted. So, how can people get the most out of InterNACHI right now as it's currently formed?
Well, InterNACHI, the reason I'm not going to be able to answer this question is that InterNACHI is no longer one describable thing. It's
Okay.
become such a massive, it's a 280,000 page website that's interactive. And so if marketing is your problem, I mean, we have entire courses, and if business is your problem, we have all sorts of tools to help you in business succeed. I launched a whole bunch recently. I launched one to determine what sort of entity you should form if you're forming a business, what you should do if you have been in business for a while, but just not making that bottom line. I see a lot of that. I see them churning money. Like
Hmm.
they're staying in the business, they're churning money, but they have nothing to show for it. And at the end of 15 years of working as an inspector, they did a lot of great work. They made a lot of money, and it sort of kind of plowed back, but they didn't end up with anything. So I
Yeah.
have a lot of tools to help them, actually pile up money in the end. I mean, most inspectors who have been in business a few years don't work their existing database. I'm sure IEB probably has a lot to say about that, on how to do
We
it.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The people lose
how
a
to
lot of
do
money
it.
by neglecting that.
Yeah, and how to do it. And so the other thing too is I've sort of, because I've been other businesses, I'm in everything from the bridge business to cosmetics. I'm I'm looking at what other industries do to succeed, and then trying to reformulate those and bring them back to the inspection industry. Because we really are not a industry made of business people.
Hmm.
Most of us come from the trades. And a lot of those
Yep.
trades, those aren't business people. I mean, your average plumber is not a business person. I mean, he's making a lot of money. He's got, 3 Corvettes in his garage, but he's probably not a business person. IEB could really help other industries as well, right?
Yes.
You
100%.
know,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of plumbers in my lifetime. Not one of them were. I mean, you could just tell that these are not business people. Great plumbers, charge a lot. That's good. They got a couple of things right. But
Yeah.
there's a difference between that and being in business. I would never say I'm an inspector in business. I would always say I'm a businessman who happens to be in the inspection business. You have to think about yourself as a business person first. I think we went through that earlier in this conversation. To
Yep.
my own self be true. Who are you really? What are you doing here? Who are you?
Yeah. I completely am with you on that. That's the starting point. Like, who are you? What are you doing? Form that target and walk toward it.
Yeah.
100%. I'll
I
tell
mean,
you.
me and my wife are just a perfect example of this because I'm kind of intuitive, right? I'm an
uh,
emotional, kind of intuitive, kind of like, I think we should do, it feels like I should be doing this right now, right? And whenever I start talking like that, she's over there with a pen and paper, trying to do the math behind it because she has an MBA.
uh-huh.
So it's really enlightening to me to see, oh, what a real business person, how they look at a problem compared to how I look at it.
The world needs both, Nick. They need
Okay.
you and they need her.
I'm trying to use both. So
Yeah.
built a lot of business tools lately that are really
Mm,
useful to um, inspectors to help them with just basic business decisions, to
mm.
boil decisions down to essentially finance and mathematics, um, to help them make those decisions.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I can just to add to and agree with you that a lot of the work that we do in IEB starts with getting people to stop thinking like a technician, start thinking like a business owner. Once people make that shift, like their whole world opens up, opportunities get bigger, the target gets more clear, and
You want to ultimately systemize to grow,
yeah,
to build a multi-inspector firm, you have to do that. There's no choice. To systemize, you have to go to systems. That's
that's
the
right.
word, right? You can't just do what you think is best.
Yeah, yeah. I'll echo that too, because not everything I think is actually the best. You got to rely on
Your
your
own brain
system.
is your own worst enemy, right?
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Well, Nick, I think we're right about time. Is that right, AJ? About time to wrap up?
Right about time. We do have a couple questions for you guys. If you want to take a peek at
Or
those. Susan Bentley asked Nick, "What's your favorite
my
philanthropic?
what?
What's your favorite philanthropic outreach?"
I don't know what that means. Philan?
Oh,
Phil-
philanthropic. So you're
Philanthropic.
giving in your
Oh,
charity.
so it's only Codes for Kids. It's the foundation I founded a long time ago. It has no. You hear about charitable organizations. What percentage goes to the kids or whatever? Ours is 100. It's all run by volunteers, and Inspector Outlet provides all the shipping for free. So we don't take. There's no overhead. It's the only charity that I know of in the world
Mm,
where our number is 100. They're ranked by how much of it, what percentage goes to children. You'd be surprised in a charity how little goes to the actual beneficiary. Um, but in ours, it's 100%. So Cozy Coats for Kids. Tuesday night auction on our website every Tuesday night to raise money for. It's really a fun time. And IEB raised some money recently for us too. So yeah.
yeah.
You got any more questions there, AJ?
Yep. She also asked, "How can the inspection industry, especially influencers, help?"
What do you mean? You mean like social influencers?
Yes, I'm assuming that's what she means. People on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Well, I think there's some people that are really succeeding on that. I mean, AJ, the inspector, isn't he like, millions and millions of followers? So, I was talking to my nieces who know nothing about inspections and they knew AJ, the inspector. So they're, they follow him. That's probably really good for our industry. And
Hmm.
I think, another guy, I fight with him a lot, so maybe I'm scared to bring his name up. Cy Porter, he's sort of done pretty well with getting the consumer to realize that that a new house is not a new car. It's not built on an assembly line. It's built by different people. Even the house next door in a new plan is built by somebody else than built the first house, and that they all have a lot of flaws. So that's been really good for our industry to have these, I would say, social media influencers out there reminding the general public that everybody needs a home inspection, and just because you're buying a new house, you need one too. So I thank all those guys who are doing all that hard. That's a lot of work doing those
Yeah.
videos. There's a lot of work to get those done and edited and up, and putting yourself out kind of is something I don't like to do. I don't think most people don't like to stand on stage. I don't even know what to do with my hands right now. I'm talking to you. I'm nervous. My hands, I don't know. What do I do? I play with this pen or something, So to go out on a video and let everybody just, in an open format where they can take shots at you, I give a lot of respect to all the people that are doing that. And there's a lot of new guys, coming up too, that are doing great Facebook and YouTube, especially YouTube videos that are helping our industry indirectly in ways that we can't even quantify. You anything else, AJ?
I think that's it, Nick.
All right. Well, hey, I'll wrap it up just by saying this. Nick, it's been a pleasure talking with you, man. And we got to get you out to an IEB event at some point just to have some fun with us.
One. Our booths are always there.
Yep, they sure are.
And you have one coming up in what? In Texas?
Yep, the next one is in Texas, and
yeah, we're a sponsor. I think we're a gold sponsor or something.
You guys are, yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think we're sponsoring it 3 ways. I think CCPI might be there, InterNACHI, and CMI.
Yeah, we got Rob coming out to do some speaking.
Yeah,
I
Rob,
think Lance is coming as well. Yep.
Get into commercial, everybody. It's a lot of money. And come to the IEB events.
Awesome.
And if for nothing else, I would say go to IEB so that you start to establish in your own gray matter that you're a business person.
Yes, sir.
If you can just do that, I always say you're halfway there. Then you can work upon the tools and success tools for business people and stuff like that. But the biggest hurdle you have to overcome, and IEB will help you with that, is between your own 2 ears.
Nailed it. Couldn't agree more. Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate you guys bringing me on here and just having a good conversation. This was fun.
Right. Thank you.